One thing I forgot to say was I have some fabulous pictures for you of as to the stages of how things have been for me. So this was a picture of me before my surgery. So, and as you can see, I am an absolute little angel, beautiful, and nothing much has changed there, I can tell you. This is a picture of me when I came out of my first surgery, and I looked a little bit wrecked there, I think, but you see that smile. Even then I still had a little smile on my face. So and that was me when I came out of having my brain aneurysm surgery. Actually, in real life, in the picture, I look a bit green, but anyway. And this next picture is a picture of me with after having my bleed and my head, and my skull taken away. And see, I look an absolute beauty there as well, don't I? But yeah, I didn't have a smile there. It was obviously a bit of a bad day. And this is a picture of me in September after I had my skull put back in, and I did ask them to so the scar, my staples and my scar went from the middle of my ear all the way up to the centre of my forehead here. And one thing I will say is I did ask the Photoshop to cut a little bit of my nose off because it looks quite big there, which is not actually the case, and they said no. So anyway, so I decided to rectify that. Oh, I didn't rectify that by putting it over my... Anyway, I decided to rectify that by cutting the nose out of this next picture. Anyway, see, all up here, that's what I'm saying. And this is the beautiful picture of me as I am now. Gorgeous, right? So, not everybody sees pictures like that. So, excuse me. So anyway, that aside, so I came home, and I came home to my babies, my family, my children, and my little puppies, and I'd missed them ever such a lot. And but I was ever so frightened that they would keep jumping up and trying to sniff my head or lick my head, or I don't know, punch me with their nose or something strange, or even claw me. Oh God, the thought. So anyway, but they were fabulous, real joy to be around. I didn't really do anything very much. I slept a lot. I ate a little. T-shirt feeding, you know. I drank. I did drink an awful lot, but I was on a lot of drugs. You know, I did a lot of shaking. I didn't think I wasn't in that. I didn't think I was still that tight little orange flower that was very, very slowly opening. With having a brain aneurysm is actually classed as an acquired brain injury in itself. Actually having surgery and then emergency surgery with the complications. I had a brain injury, and it's very, recovering from brain injury is a very slow, bloody fabulous process. But it's very slow, and you need to, and I needed to accept. Well, I needed to understand that first, and then accept it. But yeah, life was very different. I couldn't walk properly. I was out of breath all of the time. I could stop going up the stairs. I couldn't bend down, stand up. I would topple. I couldn't. It was just an interesting life, you know. And without Steve, I don't know what I would have done. It would have been very interesting. But yeah, so so Steve got me a wheelchair because I couldn't walk very far, and I'd always needed. He was there as my frame. He would hold me because I'd be so wonky. He would he would just love me, you know, and he would take the mickey out of me all of the time, but he would love me a lot, and he really looked after me. Now between you and me, so don't say anything to him, but between you and me, I thought I was absolutely doomed when I knew Steve would have to look after me. I thought, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But he's been an absolute angel, and so I'm again very fortunate. Um, so enough about that. So unfortunately, um, sorry. One other thing I need to mention to you about Steve is I have the vision in both my eyes, and that's because Steve told the nursing staff and reminded them on the hour, every hour, to put those drops in my eye. And he must have been an absolute treat to have been around that week. So I am very thankful to him for numerous things, but the sight of my eyes is one of them. Anyway, so Steve had to go back to work. I think I can't remember. Oh, I think it was after I had my skull put back in September. Which I have to say, as soon as your skull is put back in, your balance is rectified and it's a little bit. Oh, I felt a little bit steadier. It felt great, you know. So he had to go back to work, and that was quite a big. That was quite a big thing to get my head around, because I had Steve 24 hours all of the time, and then I didn't have him for at least 12 hours on his days at work, and that was a big issue for me. Thankfully, 2 of my 3 children were at home, and they looked after me. They looked after me a real treat. I appreciate it was a great responsibility for them, but they did their absolute best for me, and they cooked for me, and they did the one thing they can't stand: hoover, polish. You know, they did that, and they never took the mickey when I would fall asleep, which I did a lot. And although I'm sure they did take the mickey, but they didn't take the mickey loudly enough for me to hear. And they were just absolutely, they were fabulous. They got on with their schedules as well as looking after me. But one of the things that I was really concerned about, because my biggest fear is having a seizure. And so apparently you can have seizures for a year after brain surgery, and because I've been progressing so well, I thought that there could quite well have been that chance that I could still have had a seizure. And so, of course, explaining to the kids about that, can I just also remind you that the youngest child was 16, it's not like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, and the eldest was 26, so and those were the 2 that were at home. So I don't want you to think that I was abusing my children or anything, because I certainly haven't been. And anyway, they were just, the pressure they must have felt must have been quite enormous. Excuse me a minute. Quite enormous, but they did it, and for which I'm very thankful. So I had a lot of healthcare appointments at home, like my brain injury OT, occupational therapist, speech and language therapist. I had complex neurological complex team. I don't really know, but there was a lot of people that came to the house to look out for me and look after me, and work came home to my house, and they gave me, I had a couple of meetings at my house, and it was just, there was a lot going on. Now with brain injury, you wear out such a lot very, very, very quickly. Just having a visitor for an hour zonked me out. But I'm also one of those pains whereby I feel obliged. If somebody's come round to visit me, they've taken the time and the decency to visit me, I would make damn sure that I would be obliged. I would make damn sure that I would not be rude to ask them to leave. And that was my first downfall. And yeah, because you just become so overwhelmed. You just feel completely drained, which is also very funny because I didn't have an awful lot to tell them, because I didn't know anything about brain injury. I didn't really have anything to tell them because all I did was sit at home and watch Columbo. It was awesome. I thought he was awesome, Columbo. But there wasn't really an awful lot to tell, because again, I keep mentioning me being an orange flower. There wasn't an awful lot I was taking in. I couldn't tell you what my brain injury people were telling me when they'd come round, and speech and language people. I couldn't tell you what they were saying to me, because it went in, came straight back out. It never settled. I never filtered anything through, because it was too early, and respectively, there wasn't a lot coming out. So anyway, so it was all very interesting. But other parts of brain injury after surgery is, for me, was so my memory was a bit of an issue, my words were a bit of an issue. Apparently, without doubt, my children would regularly tell me that my verbal filter was removed during surgery. I mean, they would be mortified or in fits of hysterical laughter, whereas from things that I had said, but I never thought there was anything to be mortified about or embarrassed about, which is very unlike me. Those that know me, that's very unlike me. So I never really saw their issue. But anyway, but that can be part of brain injury. That can be part of the symptoms of brain injury, where you have the verbal filter, you don't have any for some time, and that worried me a little bit. Once I realised that did worry me. But anyway, so that side. So there was that. Oh yeah, I would. Watching TV was an issue. Being a passenger in the car was an issue. Exhausting. I can't tell you how exhausting it is, and the reason for that is because you're taking in so much information for both, and it overwhelms you. You can't. It completely overwhelms you, and I mean, there have been times where I was watching TV and I had to look away or close my eyes, and in the car when I was a passenger, I had to close my eyes because I couldn't take any more in. It's all very interesting, things you don't even think about when you're not normal. Right? No, that's very much a nice thing to say, but when you don't have a brain injury. Yeah, and crying at the drop of a hat over something and nothing, that happened, and that still continues to happen for me now. I would cry at a gerbil or a budgerigar. I mean proper cry. I don't mean go. I mean a proper cry at anything. I'd be talking about something that didn't even have any emotion to it. And that's it. Off I'd go. I'd be sitting in a restaurant having some breakfast with my youngest son, Tom, and I'd be crying. And even Tom would go, Oh, do you have to? We're in the middle of we're in the middle of public. Do you have to? Which, actually, at the time, I laughed at the time because I had no idea why I was crying, and that still happens. Um, so anyway, so um, so I had lots of difficulties and still do, to a degree of not so much, but I had difficulties with several abilities ranging from planning to organising, balance, which is still, like I say, I still do, to multitasking and decision making. And one of the other things that it was horrific was vertigo hit me really badly. In fact, I would wake up. It would wake me up. Vertigo would wake me up, and that is really frightening. Um, I remember the first one was when my skull was off, and I absolutely was beside myself because I was in the dark as well. So I didn't know what was going on, and I think I grabbed a chunk of Steve out because I was that frightened, and I woke him up, which I wasn't very impressed about. But I woke him up, and we both thought I was maybe having another bleed or something. So we went to A&E, saw a couple of my colleagues, which was nice. It was also a bit embarrassing because nobody at A&E had seen me. Um, and so yeah, thankfully, well, on the scans there was still too much blood from my previous operation where I had to have my bleed stopped and my skull off. So there was still a lot of residual old blood from there, or blood from there. So it was thankfully I was diagnosed as having vertigo rather than a bleed. So again, I'm a very thankful person. So the vertigo, it stayed with me for a couple of months, in fact for a few months, um, and that's also part of recovery from brain injury, because it's your brain sorting itself out, and it's everything in your ears sorting. It's just a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on. Um, so really, somebody without a brain injury may think that actually I wasn't really doing an awful lot, and I can understand that. But I was working overtime all of the time. Even when I was sat there watching Columbo, I was doing a lot of overtime because my brain was recovering, and it is doing a fabulous job. But you're constantly, all of the time, working, whether it's getting up or whether it's something physical or something in here. All of the time, brain's getting there, it's recovering all of the time, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's exhausting, because one of the other things that I have, that I still have, is fatigue, and that is a big issue. And anyway, so my brain's been permanently recovering, and even when I sleep, it's recovering. In fact, that doesn't go for me; it goes for everybody. Um, and and it's amazing, you know. Uh, I feel as if I'm just waffling now because and I don't mean to be, but I'm just trying to. I can't think of the words to tell you how fabulous what other brain injury issues there are and have been, and how bloody marvellously I'm recovering from it. I can't tell you. So all I'll say is, to this day I am still recovering, and and to this day people without a brain injury um, will not or may not understand the struggles of recovery, or brain injury actually, and because I look okay, I must be okay. and that's what I get a lot of. So I'll go back to what I said before. Having a brain injury has affected me both personally and professionally, and without a doubt it has definitely been life changing.